Hey, nurses and fellow caregivers. I'm Rita Batchley, and this is Coffee with the Nurse's Nurse, where you'll get tips and strategies on how to put the self-care back into healthcare, because you can't give away something you don't got. And today we're going to talk about how to survive and thrive while being a nurse. And I think you can relate that even if you're a brand new nurse or a nursing student, just out of school, or anybody, a veteran nurse working out there, because we've got stuff that we've got to deal with even before we show up to be connected and empathetic with our patients. We got to deal with working conditions and difficult coworkers and all kinds of stuff. But the beauty about what I'm about to share with you, 5 tips on how to thrive and survive as a nurse, you don't have to white knuckle through this stuff anymore. So let's get into it and talk about how can you relate to showing up and just feeling like every single muscle in your body just tight, headaches, difficulty sleeping, anxiety, the pandemic out there. And we're dealing with more violence on nurses than ever seen in, I know in the last 30 years that I've been a nurse, it's off the charts. And electronic medical records, it used to take me 2 minutes to give a medication. Once the EMR came, oh my gosh, 20 minutes before you're just like, trying to get the new med. And for staffing ratios, we've got nurses being criminally charged for medication errors. And how about working alongside a traveler who's making twice as much money as you? And you've been there through the thick and thin without even a pay raise or combat pay for sticking it out. And what do you get? A pizza party with a nice pat on the back saying how great you are. Well, whatever challenges that you're facing, the reality is there's a lot of stress out there, a lot. And I don't know any patient who's in the hospital that's having a great time. And you're there and you're expected to be compassionate and caring on the most difficult day of a person's life. And that's our job. But what it does to us is it gives us secondary trauma or stress and the symptoms of it, this anxiety, headaches, difficulty sleeping, becoming a robotron. You're just exhausted. You can't even function. And I'm not trying to scare you. What I really want to do is be a part of your solution. Secondary trauma and post-traumatic PTSD, it doesn't happen unless you care. If your sympathetic nervous system does not get triggered by something traumatic, you will not have these symptoms. And if you don't care, you're not going to get traumatized. So the good news is that you care. The bad news is that you care. How do we get from being barely surviving to a resilient, empowered, mindful place where we can stay connected, show up for patients, be connected, compassionate, and be present? Those 5 things are self-resiliency, intentionality, perceptual maturation, connection and support, and self-care. I want to put a shout out to Dr. Eric Gentry. He's an amazing practitioner and PhD on professional resilience and certified compassion fatigue. This guy is just amazing. And I've had such a great experience learning about compassion fatigue and what to do with it. I just wanted to shout it out. You can take a screenshot. I'm going to put it in my YouTube down on the description. I'll put his information there. But his model is based on these 5 tips. And notice that self-care is not number one. And this station is all about self-care for the healthcare provider. But you cannot benefit from self-care unless you are in your body. We're going to go to that first step, and that's self-regulation. It's simply the intentional, ongoing interrupting of that physiological, sympathetic nervous system response. And what that does is it asks us to pause. And learning this and practicing this, it's really simple, but it's not easy. A lot of people think, taking a deep breath will help, and it does, because that can switch over the sympathetic nervous system into the parasympathetic, and it helps. Number one, self-regulation. And it is all about that calming yourself down, being present in the moment, untensing your muscles. So when you notice it, like for me, I'll start to notice this like churning inside of me, my solar plexus, certain muscle groups in my legs and thighs, I will tense up, and just relaxing into those is a really beneficial way of that number one, self-regulation. And getting right into number two on the list to survive as a nurse is intentionality. And intentionality is when you formulate this mission statement of yourself and the world around you, and you become grounded in this visualization and your mission statement. Let's face it, we didn't become nurses to be rich. No. I don't know about you, but I became a nurse to make a difference in people's lives. I'm really good at science. I love science. I love teaching people how to be well and how to get into the solution, either a physical problem, emotional. I'm just right on there. So this intentionality of following this higher law is like why I encourage you and to keep encouraging other people to be nurses, because nursing is a noble profession. Nursing is a great way to have a fabulous career, but you gotta be able to survive and thrive and not become a victim to your own nervous system. Number three, maturation is when we get triggered enough, we start to see we become that victim. So this is really difficult for a lot of healthcare providers because it means being open-minded. So this girl down in the corner, she loves dogs, but she was traumatized by a vicious dog. And ever since then, she's looking at this little dog on the bench, and what she sees is this Rottweiler ready to tear her head off. Because she's had this trigger, she's had this sympathetic nervous system response, and her perceptions have been changed. So it's like Pavlov's dog. You come into your workplace and you're pretty hippy skippy. You had a good breakfast and you come walking in and just, for me, like rolling my eyes. Oh no, not that person again. I got to work with them. And you got the A team, we got the B team, and then you're working with the B team who just can't seem to organize themselves, and they're constantly victims and falling into that victim role of everything's happening to me and nothing's going right, nothing's going to be right. Switch that over and become open-minded. How can I meet these demands and stay in tune with the calm, not being triggered by the past, by people, places, and things that I really can't even control, but they're triggering me. So staying in the state of calmness and knowing, well, this is just a perception. They're not doing it to me. They're doing it around me. This person is dealing with their own trauma, or they're victims of whatever it is they're not working on. But I don't have to let that affect the way I am. And there's an author, Viktor Frankl, did a great book on resiliency, and he was an Auschwitz concentration camp survivor. Now, if he could be happy, joyous, and free under the most horrendous conditions that anyone has ever experienced, and he could maintain his wholeness through that, yeah, I don't know. Like, I could either be a part of the problem and complain, or I could be part of the solution and get into some action. And sometimes the action is taking no action and letting things unfold and having that surrender in order to survive. Like, there were moments, I'm sure, where you could relate that just letting it go past you like a river, the water just going downstream and watching it go and not getting engaged in it. Number 4 on the list, and that one is about connection and support. So in order to change that response, and sometimes, yeah, that's all we could do is white knuckle our way through, because that's all we can do. But when we have connection and support, we get to talk, trust, and feel through our new experience of, telling someone, I really didn't like when so-and-so did this. And I really felt sad when this is going on. And I really feel horrible that nurses are being disrespected and treated violently. And to find a trusted friend and a relationship where we can be listened to, and listen to in a way where that person is not trying to change us. Because I don't know about you, before this work, if someone told me something, I would ask them why. I would say, I would give them a suggestion, and they're not asking for a suggestion or a way to fix them. We're simply asking others to listen and to witness where we're at. And that is, that really helps with that healing part. And to check in with people at least, once a week, if you can, even once a day with somebody. And what you're going to find is, as you switch over out of that sympathetic triggered response, you're going to find your relationships at home with your loved ones to be a lot better. Because again, if you're giving yourself this relationship with other people in other areas of your life, you can't have that until you give it to yourself. So if you're getting this by, just saying to a friend, you know what, this nurse's nurse, she told me about this thing about connecting. And if you could just listen to me, I got some trauma. I mean, this patient told me stuff that really triggered me, and I felt so bad, and I just need to talk about it. That is going to help you to set this stuff into your brain in a new way, and great things are going to happen. You're going to get that, launch yourself into that new dimension of feelings and feeling whole again, and that you are present in your own life. So connection and support, that is number 4. And number 5 is self-care. And we know all about that, my friends. Self-care for back into the healthcare, because you can't give away something you don't got. And this is our refueling. Eating healthy, getting enough rest, exercise, everything we tell our patients to do, we need to do for ourselves. And that's what it means to become a nurtured nurse. That you have your own nurse inside of you, treating you with that love and respect that you treat your most vulnerable patients. And not only do you hear that voice of your nurtured nurse, but you do those things for yourself. Have fun and play in your life without substances. A lot of people think that playing and have fun, they can't do it without numbing themselves, because they have so much pain from this traumatic experiences. We don't even know that we're in a constant state of being triggered. Those are the 5 things I've been taught by Eric Gentry, and again, I want to shout it out. Self-regulation for resilience is number one, and here's his website again, Eric Gentry. Self-regulation, intention, perceptual maturation, connection and support, and self-care. And those are all those things that I know you will benefit from. And I got to say, that is the basis of becoming a nurtured nurse. And I am putting my little call to action down at the bottom of the screen because we're coming to the end here. And I want to just thank you for joining me for Coffee with the Nurse's Nurse. Yes, I like what my friend said about avoiding the important patients and the nurse inside of me being too busy. Yeah, okay, avoiding the most important patient, myself. Yeah, that's so true because I know for me that I've been conditioned to put everyone else first. And that is a huge part of my upbringing that I didn't even have a sense of self. Because as I said, in a calm and relaxed state, I feel uneasy. I am addicted to adrenaline. Let me help you. Let me fix you so that I don't have to feel my own uncomfortable feelings. Because, I don't even want to know them for me. Why would I want to tell them to anyone else? And that's why I said, number one is that self-regulation, because I can't connect and find support with you unless I recognize them in myself. And I don't want to do that because I'm running and gunning to do everything that I can to stay away from those important feelings. So again, if you got anything from this, please share it with your friends and go on to my YouTube channel, subscribe, and you can watch me on YouTube at any time. So that's it for me, folks. I love my nurses, and have a great week.